Welcome to Pagan Crafting. I'm your host, Kara. Today we're going to look at some bee decor, some DIY honeycomb signs. We're going to look at making Blessed Bee and Bee Inspired, but you can choose whatever you'd like. We're going to go over some hot glue techniques, and we're going to have some fun. Join me today as we make these beautiful signs. So the supplies that we're going to need today are 2 wooden honeycomb little sign dudes. We're going to grab some ribbon of any kind that you like. I'm going to use the black. We have some little bees, some sunflowers, ruler. I have a couple sheets of paper. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet, so I just grabbed a few. There's this also a double-sided, but doesn't have the gold shine to it, so I kind of think I'm going to go with more so this one here. We're going to grab some stencil paper to help transfer your lettering onto the paper. And let's get started. All right, so we're going to trace out the shape of our sign first. Now I'm using the outer edge and it's not going to fit on the inside. Oh, make sure it's all straight up and down. Just going to copy out this side. Now this is about 1/4 of an inch thickness, so I'm going to cut off that around the edges. I thought it'd just be it's easier for me this way, but you could do the exact measurements if you're more mathematically inclined, which I'm more artistically inclined, more right brain, so I'm not very left brain mathematical, so I'm just going to do the long way around to figure it out. That's okay. However you see fit to make these fit on the inside works for me. So I'm just going to slice off just 1/4 of an inch thickness so I can fit these to the inside of the frame. And I'm going to do that around all the edges. So it's going to look a bit oblong off first until we sort it all out. There we go. Now it'll fit in nicely. That one fits in super tight, happy with that. So I'm going to repeat and do the same here. I'm just eyeballing it. I never measured it, but you're probably better if we measure it because it could be a bit off, but that's okay. We're going to grab some black acrylic paint. We're going to paint around all the edges and the framework. We don't have to paint the inside because we're going to be doing the paper overlap there, but just paint a little bit just so you can hide it. So you don't have to get too fancy, but just overlap the black paint onto the wood a bit. Okay, so I printed out the font that I've chosen here. You could choose whatever you'd like. I just use my Word Perfect. Printed out something cool, laid it out to the size that I want. And you can look up all kinds of really cool bee inspirational sign quotes. I love the Blessed Bee, makes me happy. And Be Inspired because I'm an artist. So I'm just going to play around with some different configurations, which I think may look cool. No right or wrong. I think it's just taking up too much space. Either I got to shrink down my lettering, which I don't really want to do. I like that. But I'm going to change my mind. Let's have a look. I can always put it back. Yeah, you know what? I'm feeling that. Nope. Yep, right about there. So I'm going to do the same on both here. Yeah, I'm digging that. I like the opposite feel of the sign. You can just play around with it for a while and see what you think. I'm using some painter's tape here to hold down. Now, before I did use the painter's tape, please test it on your piece of paper that you're using for your, I'm using scrapbook paper, so it's a little bit sturdier. And I did do it so just in case the tape doesn't peel back the paper or the imprint on it. I did give it a quick check. It took a little bit of the gold off of the bees, but not too much. It was very faint. And it's not ripping the paper. So now I'm going to be using my stencil paper. It's a graphite paper, actually. You can get this for super inexpensive on Amazon. And I'm just using that to transfer over. So it's like a pencil. And I'm using my Sharpie here. You can paint this in if you have a nice fine paintbrush, but I'm trying to make things super easy for you. A Sharpie will do. As long as it's a brand new Sharpie, then you have a nice fine point on it to rock in those letters really sweetly. Using some Mod Podge. Now I overdid my Mod Podge here. As I look at it, I'm like, oh, whoops. So I have to take off some excess podge. But you still want a healthy amount of glue down. Just grabbing off some excess. It makes it easier to do the lettering on the paper before you glue it down. That way, in case the paper wrinkles a little bit, then you don't have to have a poor quality script going across your paperwork there. And just getting out the excess glue and bubbles. Squish that all out. I got glue and paint all over my fingers. So I'm just testing on my paper with the Sharpie to see if I can do Mod Podge over top of it, because it may streak. So I'm giving it a quick, this is what I'm doing here, as I'm giving it a test if it streaks, and I'm solid we're good, because I do have an outliner pen that will streak. Even if it's dry, it'll still streak. So this is good, let's do it. So I'm going to do this Mod Podge is a gloss clear coat, so it'll dry to a nice shine. It just helps seal it in, looks cool. I'm planning on putting these in my kitchen, so it just helps give it extra seal if I splash anything on it. And I'm planning on shining everything. The paint I used was a flat black, so now I'm just going to rock it a little shinier. That turned out pretty good. My glue's not quite dry there, but apparently I'm impatient here. I'm going to use some hot glue here now. This is going to be the base for my honey. I'm using my bigger hot glue gun so I can glob in more glue on this, because the other one will just give me little runs. I want this to really goo down and leak down like honey, and then we're going to paint that here when it cools down. And you want to put this on a wax paper or a parchment paper is even better than wax paper. And that way the glue doesn't stick to the parchment paper. The glue will stick to the wax paper a little bit, but you can peel that off the bottom and you won't be able to tell. You can just paint over it. But the parchment paper, anytime you make the glue dots for mushrooms or anything like that, that's the way to go. So we're going to use that for this too, because we're going to build up the drips off the honey, a little bit up the sides. It look like it's dripped down. And we're going to like drip it down the edges here too. Leave that to cool down. And then now we're going to build up more of the honey drips. There, we have them all cooled down now, and I like how that's a little flat on the bottom of the drips. Now when painting over top of hot glue, you want to use a generous amount of glue on your paintbrush. You don't actually want to paint it on, it's going to be streaky, and you're going to have to do like 2-3 coats depending on the paint. The lighter the color paint, the more coats you have to do, or the thinner the base of the paint. I'm actually dabbing the glue on here. It's going to take a little bit longer to dry, but it is worth not having to do 2 or 3 coats. And it's really sharp looking. It actually looks a little more realistic. It kind of has some glob points on too, so it gives some movement to the paint. So just dabbing it on is the best way to go. And don't forget the bottom. So hit that there. We'll let that dry and then we'll do a little bit more. So next what I'm going to do, this is all dry here now, we are going to lay down some iridescence on top of the already yellow, banana yellow, sunflower yellow we have there. It's called a color shift yellow. See how it dried flat here? We want to shine this up, make it look beautiful, the golden of the sun. So this one you can paint right over it. It's not going to be streaky because now we have the base coat of the yellow. And you can just do a quick top coat, shine it right up, and the color shift is going to be beautiful. It's going to grab some gold highlights in there and some beautiful shines to it. Our next is metallic gold. Straight up gold. We don't need too much of this. We're going to use a bit of a dry brushing technique. So you're going to stamp it in your brush and you're going to flick it up around the nodules, the bumps of that. And it will just catch the tips nicely, and any of the bumps and the melts of the hot glue, it's going to catch those with the gold, and it's going to give a realistic look to it too. As real as we can get it. I'm just moving around with my finger. I globbed a little bit on. There's no technique there. I just put a bit much on, so I just smoothed it out. Now I got these little beautiful little sunflowers. I rock those ones here. I think I like where I put them. I'm going to leave that there. And now I have some, I did about 1, 2, 3 of each color, or 2 of each color, 3 different ribbons here, and I'm gonna layer these ribbons. And these ones we're gonna hot glue together. I'm using the black. It's kind of like a black and the white, and the honey bee yellow here. Just hot gluing all the ribbons together, and then I'll place it on the honeycomb itself. I don't want to hide the lettering, so I want to angle the ribbon nicely before I get it stuck all over with glue. Good. There, that is so sweet. Oh, I think I'm going to do opposite. So this was a risky move. I'm lucky I didn't rip my paper. I don't know why I changed my mind and ripped it off, and luckily I didn't rip it. I guess if it ripped the paper, I could have put a little bee over top of it, but I already did the clear coating, so the hot glue doesn't stick to the clear coating if you need to take it off. Well, it does stick, but not to the point where it's going to rip your paper underneath. But that was super risky of me. Oh my gosh. But if you make any mistakes, we got the bees. We can put some bees down and hide any imperfections. And here I'm just adjusting the ribbon. I'm trying to fold it down around the lettering a little bit more. And just rocking the kitty corner to the ribbon here. There we go. These are so cute. Yeah, I like the flowers there instead. Our next up is we have these cute little bees. Now they have all these little sticky dudes on the other side. I'm going to peel those off because I think the hot glue just might get in the way. And randomly put your bees wherever you would like. I'm putting them all over the frame and in the honey, the one on the flower. Oh, I love them. They look so darling. And there we have it. Our little bees. Be inspired and blessed be. Our cute little bees up on the sign, like it. Well, thank you so very much for hanging out with me today. I hope this little bee sign has inspired you, and I wish you a very blessed bee day, and a magical one at that. Throw me that little like up and hit that button for subscribe and ring that bell, and I shall see you on the next video.